Well, hello, that's me again. Today is February 23, 2025, and it is Sunday. For some people, it's the evening of the Sunday, and so they have the work day tomorrow. So I'm gonna be short. So let's start with what I've been talking about for the last 10 years. And again, for those people who do not hear what I'm saying, as it was like, some people go into the comment section and say, oh, I'm unsubscribing from you, because you did or said something, this or that. So guys, my channel exists not to elicit the emotional reactions, albeit sometimes I do it, very rarely on purpose, most of the time just by stating facts. And I'm trying to state facts, and the fact that I get sometimes not emotional, but I mean energetic, explaining things, is because I want to project and to deliver the point for people to understand. So if anybody begins to interpret things which I didn't say, well, it's their problems. I'm sorry to lose you as subscribers, but you know what? All those grandiose statements about that, oh, I'm subscribing from you because you said something. Okay, sure, yeah, it's your life, your choice, your option. We live in the relatively free world, and so yeah, do whatever you would need to do. But I have to start immediately, especially considering the fact that today in Russia is the 23rd of February 2025, and it is the day of the as-called defender of the fatherland, actually. But in reality, it is the obviously good old Soviet huge celebration, which is called the Day of the Soviet Army and Navy. So it's huge military holiday, and people of the service with the service history, men and women are being praised, and so it's huge. Okay, gigantic holiday, gigantic celebration. So, but because of that, let me start with what going back to my introduction about people not listening to what I'm saying. When I say something about Europe and Europeans, they say you hate Europe and you hate Europeans. I repeat again, and this is not what I wanted to do when I started this channel, but I have to do now because I'm becoming part-time political commentator. And yeah, war and politics are basically two sides of the same metal, or the same coin, if you wish. And here we are. If the Canadian Parliament wasn't enough, giving standing ovation for a Nazi guy, for SS guy, here's Denmark. And for people from good, decent people from Denmark who will start writing, I never voted for this. No, maybe you didn't, but Denmark voted, and so Danish politician actually give standing ovation, applaud member of the Ukraine's neo-Nazi unit. And the neo-Nazi unit, of course, it is Azov Battalion, which is known primarily for atrocities and rape, killing children, executing children. They are good. So then the Danish parliament is really enjoying the, having those people going there. And a member of Ukraine ultra-nationalist Azov unit and convicted war criminal Dmitry Kanuper received a standing ovation during a conference at the Danish parliament. Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen, Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen, and Parliamentary Speaker Soren Gade attended the event, which took place on February 19th. And so Azov is notorious. They are not really that good at fighting, although they've been trained obviously by all trash from all kinds of the NATO countries. But as I already stated, the number of crimes they committed primarily against civilians, they are also very good at actually being a barrier troops. So that's kind of the SS type thing, with the minus the SS capability to fight, because as a real SS from Germany and other French Charlemagne division and Viking and things of this nature, they were really good fighters. They were actually fanatics. But these guys are fanatics only when they rape, execute, and rob people, not so much in terms of the actual staying power. So, and here it is, Denmark, and those guys, Danish politicians, give standing ovation. What can I say? This is Europe, and this is what Russia has to do to deal with. And don't start any kind of the conversation or basically discussion on the matter that, oh yeah, we do not support it. Of course you don't. Normal people primarily go to this channel, and people with integrity and ethics and all that. But I mean, the political system in the West, especially in Europe, is utterly co-opted by the people with their Nazi views. That is why, for example, today people say that, oh my God, Alternative for Germany came in or is coming in second. Okay, so nothing changes. Guess what? Uniparty, globalist uniparty, with this fanatic Merz and CDU. By the way, Angela Merkel, if I'm not mistaken, she was a CDU, the Christian Democratic Union, right? She was the one who actually played a critical role, I mean, together with the United States, in unleashing the hell which is happening now in the what's left of Ukraine. So guess what? What's the difference? You change one piece of excrement to the other, and people say, oh, Germany will change government. No. AFD will be blocked in Bundestag anyway, and yeah, Mr. Merch, who promised Russians to kill Russians and things like that, he's just downright straight, German Nazi. And so in Christian Democratic Union, what's the difference? Globalist party, and they will try to at least continue sacrifice their own country. So yeah, there's no sensation here, there's nothing really special. And yeah, I'm not gonna go talk about the Sarah Wagenknecht clownship and so. But let's start a little bit from the general situation around the what is special military operation. And obviously we have all kinds of the statements going around, especially regarding the what is now allegedly new course, if you wish, by Trump administration. But let's not rush. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And as I already stated, let's wait for action. So far, we understand that Trump didn't stop the military aid to Ukraine. It still arrives. And as I already stated last couple of videos, that all those rumors that allegedly the distribution stopped, yeah, nothing solid so far. So it still continues to flow into Ukraine. But at this stage, if you take a look attentively at the state of the affairs in Ukraine, with, for example, their losses, you will see yourself that, well, how to put it, they continue to decline, but the slaughter on the industrial scale still continues. And if you take a look attentively at the, for example, Kursk area, make no mistake, these are schemes. These are not actual maps. And for example, this scheme which I present to you is just already obsolete. It's from the 22nd of February. That means that the situation which it depicts is probably from the February 17th, 18th, something like that. It's about a 1 week lag. They obviously are not capable to update it properly, and even when they update, it still does not reflect the actual situation. But as you can see yourself, Russians already, even here, they shows that Russians are already deep into the Ukrainian territory in that area on this operational axis, and yeah, the pocket is closing, and the number grows, and it is now more than 62,000 killed there, and of the Ukrainian forces. And it continues. Basically, Russians are trying to catch them and mop them up from all those forest lines which are there. It's not the solid forest, and yeah, it's all littered, as everybody knows already, in the bodies. This is a horrible picture, honestly, and burned burned armor and other type of vehicles. It's just absolutely catastrophic there for armed forces of Ukraine, or what rather is left of them. And in this case, what we have we have this situation, which Mr. Starmer, the guy is, yeah, we know the guy is moron. Even British, population says that he's moron. But he penned the article, which is like, I mean, you know what, it's like Mr. Trump writing something for the National Enquirer. But yeah, that's British. They have no respectable press. All of it is complete garbage and tabloids. But he stated that the Starmer basically appeals to Trump. It is in UK and US interest to stand by Ukraine with security guarantee. A bad peace deal would be a disaster for all. So he penned this article. He gets the sappy sentimental. I was 27 when the Berlin Wall came down. For my generation, it was exciting. Yeah, it was all exciting for everybody, except that, it turned out a complete pile of the steaming excrement, and including for Germany, by the way. And in this case, those appeals to Trump, who, while doing very little in practical terms, there's a lot of talk, make no mistake, and even talk is already good. But Russians, for example, denied that there will be any meeting on the February 25th, this coming February 25th, in area. Mr. Rybkov, first deputy foreign minister, already stated this clearly. So, but yes, there is a talk. There's all this fluffy rhetoric, which is, I mean, it's still good. As I already stated, it's good to talk, and it's good to see the change of the position, for example, of the United States on many directions, if you wish. But again, Mr. Musk, for example, stated that he's not going to turn off the Starlink, which is, of course, the foundation of the command and control of the Ukrainian forces. Okay, there you go. So, sure, let's go. Let's see what's going to happen next. And yeah, the fact that United States, as Wall Street Journal reports, pushes Kiev to kill its UN resolution marking war's anniversary, still, it's pleasant, it's good, but let's wait and see what the United States does. And if that hasn't been enough, we now have the situation that, we have Mr. Zelensky, now, which is basically parading himself as, it's clear, and basically revealing himself as British asset, and he's guarded by SAS, which will off him when time comes, because British want to cover up the tracks of their atrocity and war crimes and basically their terrorist regime. And so he says that no, I will not. President Trump demands 350 billion, insisting that Kiev received 100 billion as a grant. So, and Zelensky considered this as a grant, and you know what? Yeah, it's all PR, it's all, back and forth verbally, but as I already stated, we have to wait and see when the rhetoric stops and practical action begins. And as I already stated many times, and Russians are very clear on what they demand, and they're really clear, having now 2 points non-stop. It's elimination of the root causes for the situation in whatever is remaining of Ukraine, and of course, considering realities on the ground. While this is happening, just to give you some basically taste of what is happening, that's Kherson, and they put their UAV command post. UAV control post in the port. So Russians found it out, and there you go. In reality, most of the time they hide those UAV posts in their civilian areas. So Russians have to to be very cautious not to kill civilians when dealing with those. The only weapon which they have really of any effect. And here comes this situation, which we'll talk about a little bit of the technological issues on that. But before I go about technological issues, I want to suggest you to go and listen to a wonderful put down by Greenwald of Dan Crenshaw. And I really have the sympathy to Dan Crenshaw. He is a SEAL. He's a ROTC guy. I mean, he graduated with degree in international relations and minor in physics. This is something like, what, auto mechanic gynecologist type thing. But point is, yeah, he lost his right eye in one of his tours in Afghanistan. And it's definitely, I have sympathy for him because I understand how difficult this thing can actually affect your life, and this is very traumatic event. But in reality, the guy is a rhino. He's a Republican in name only, and he's a hawk. And here he basically talks about things he doesn't understand. He cannot understand them despite being the SEAL. And again, SEAL, he is underwater, explosive, whatever the hell, lieutenant commander and things of this nature. Fine, it's okay. The problem is he's talking about how, Ukrainians kill like 4 times more Russians than they lose, and all kinds of the garbage Ukrainian propaganda he spews there. And you know what? This is the result which I speak about of the guy, his only argument, have you fought anything? Well, I can tell you one thing. He didn't fight the war, as didn't United States Army. Most of what it was doing was high-intensity police operations. And obviously his SEAL unit wouldn't last, very long time in the real war. Plus, they are, basically sabotage-type special forces, and they are good only with, assassinating somebody and blowing up things. Other than that, they are not that type of operation which involves the, being plugged into the larger framework of the very massive combined arms operation. And yeah, so when Dan Crenshaw begins to talk about war, he doesn't, Glenn actually understands more evidently about this situation and the special military operation than this Dan Crenshaw. But then again, these are people who have been financed by USAID and, but listen to this, it's very interesting, I suggest you. Now, about technological thing, and as you might expect, there is a huge, in fact, massive butt hurt and, sore loserism is happening all around, let's say, American media, obviously in the British media too, and all other media. And yeah, if you haven't seen the Austrian General Staff maps, go find it. It's hilarious, So, and evidently, as I already stated, the low level of the military education and military understanding in NATO has been completely exposed, and now we have all those journalists who write about things which they don't understand. Most of those guys, in the United States, and all those pop military or military porn sites who masturbate only to the all kinds of the shiny military toys, they have no clue what they're writing about. Most of them, they don't have even basic understanding what they're writing about, and that is why they come up constantly with all this, knee-jerk reactions and pretending to be some kind of the expert opinions. They are not. And let me demonstrate you something. So take this Business Insider. Yes, it is tabloid, I know, and most people who work there, they're also morons when they, and they suddenly say that Ukraine war shows why the West needs cheap throwaway weapons it can make quickly, not just the expensive stuff. No, it's absolutely not correct. Again, this whatever Sinead Baker doesn't understand what she's talking about, because it's not about cheap weapons. Most weapons are, not all, are expensive. What she thinks within the framework of the American view, which is completely bankrupt. It's a bunk of the warfare, and that for example, we know the prices for the, let's say, Javelin, which is a disaster, technological disaster. Its combat effectiveness is about 20%. It's a bunk weapon. Russians have more Javelins now than Ukrainians. But No, it's not about throwaways. But again, this is what people write in the United States, suffering from the sore loserism. Of course, they do not understand when you look attentively, for example, at Russian production facilities. As you can see yourself, these are geraniums. Yeah, those Shahid drones. So yeah, I'm not gonna go there. It's all about being sore losers. It's all about downplaying Russian incredible achievement, technological achievement, and of course, industrial. And here are the photographs of those geraniums, how Russians produce them. They produce them in immense quantities. And even this thing is not necessarily low quality or cheap throwaway weapon. Most of the fuselage are done with the elements of the composite materials, including carbon fiber and fiberglass and things of this nature, which do not show that well on the radar, for example, and that's just the start of it. But then, of course, you have to understand they try to downplay everything, because obviously we can see the complete bankruptcy of the not only the whole doctrine and the whole the table of equipment and organization equipment for NATO forces, including United States, being an absolute bunk, but also parading NATO as the paper tiger that what it is. And so they coping. How they cope? One of the methods of coping is going out and pretending that something is not working properly. Obviously, it is written by people, for example, like Chris Osborne, who have no clue about Russia. They never communicated with any professional in Russia. In fact, there's no real professionals who communicate with them. They will be looking at them as imbeciles. But they continue to provide this background to actually alleviate the butthurt. Because, well, look at this. So let's take a look at this there. Yeah, it's a pop military thing. Also, a bunch of the amateurs there, including amateurs with the epaulets, who think that, oh yeah, we went through Afghanistan, we just killed number of some Taliban. Yeah, tell me about that. Look at this. Here is the key. They now talk about. That's Chris Osborne. The guy's a clown, but hey, whatever. And so he writes about, in January that Russian BMPT Terminator tank might have no future. And obviously BMPT Terminator, which is on the platform of T-72 and armed with the ATGMs and 30 millimeter dual gun and so it's a horrifying weapon. You can see yourself how it works, and it obviously made an impression. But so he talks about Mr. Chris Osborne about something he doesn't understand. And so he talks about, look at this, that, oh my God, Russia BMPT Terminator, a game changer over high tank support vehicles. And so he goes in and presents regular facts of the development, R&D, and all those testing procedures, which are actually endemic in Russian military-industrial complex, as something like, oh, however, with only 19 units reportedly produced, the BMPT battlefield impact is limited by a lack of mass deployment. Yeah, okay. Despite its advanced features, including technologies borrowed from T-14 Armata, yeah, it is net-centric. Production constraints and Russia brought a number problem in modernized military assets hinder its effectiveness. So here he is. He obviously lies through his teeth. Actually, Russian army today is the most not only modernized, most modern army, and in terms of the most advanced and latest in technology, there is not a single army, including U.S. Army, which even near all this situation, so to speak, with the table of organization and equipment of Russian armed forces. But no, this Mr. Osborne, he does there because he's a creep and basically has no clear idea what he's talking about. His idea is using this pop masturbator sites like 1945, write something which alleviate this pain from the defeat of the West. And so he talks about it. As a single tank supporting armed combat vehicle, Russia BMPT Terminator could present a threat to the West as an armored platform in position to fortify mechanized assault with supportive fire to tanks attacking in maneuver formations. Yeah, correct. Well, that applies to Russians, for example, but it certainly doesn't apply to NATO armies, which cannot do maneuvering warfare. And I have been actually on record about this for a while now, because under the real war, God forbids, with NATO, NATO has only one option, nuclear option, period. The rest of it, conventional forces of NATO, including of the US Army, if it ever makes it on the in the Europe, they will be annihilated. There will be nothing which will be actually properly deployed and properly built into whatever the columns, because the nature of the war changed so much that ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, is the key. United States Army cannot fight without ISR. Russia has all capabilities to kill NATO ISR. Simple as that in the real war. And this could be done by Russians in conventional way. But why they continue to doubt this BMPT? Well, let me explain to you that it is one of those ways to actually they grasp at all kinds of the straws to really present some kind of the bad news, bad quote unquote. Well, in reality, we have to go and ask Russians themselves. What is the deal with BMPT Terminator? For starters, we go at the beginning of the special military operation and the fact that actually Terminator was used there primarily in the test mode to hone the serial production of this equipment. So let's take a look at what Russian users, soldiers, officers talk about the Terminator. Which, of course, as you might understand, the only reason that this BS have been spread all over the place is Russians want to change the name. I will explain why for Terminator. Russian fighters working on the Terminators praise their creators. And this is what they say. It's already, you know what, it's 11th December 2022. This is what they say. High quality and very reliable weapon complex on BMPT. Shoots perfectly. The engineers did a good job. The machinery is worthy. The grenade launcher operator of the vehicle crew told Novosti. The driver of the crew noted the high cross-country ability of the vehicle and ease of control. So they continue to develop their basically response that I have no words for the beauty of this machine. It's not car, it's machine. And how it behaves. They, the developers of the machine, did everything and did everything well. This is some kind of a dragon. I like it very much, and the cross-country ability is good. At least no one has slipped, basically stuck yet, the soldier told reporters. One of the crew members noted that their vehicle perfectly withstood a grenade launcher hit and infantry fire. And so they talk about the basically what BMPT is, how it is armed. And but guess what? Evidently, Chris Osborne and all those guys from all those shyster pseudo-military things and masturbator sites, they know better than, of course, Russians. Well, of course, they don't. They are ignorant. But look at this. So let's basically scroll forward, so to speak, or fast forward to 2025. As you can see yourself, 3 days ago. So, will it become Elektroniku Gramazeka? These are famous names of the Russian movies, children movies, and the famous cartoon called The Secret of the Third Planet. So, and these are the names from there. Unique BMPT Terminator may receive a Russian name. Actually, many people say why. But yeah, some idiots, uber nationalists said, okay, let's change name from Terminator to like stupid Ramco, what have you. No, let's leave the name of Terminator. It's really good. And so the Terminator tank support combat vehicle may change its name. This was reported in the Ural Vagon Zavod, which produces it, part of the Rostec State Corporation. The company noted that the interest in the unusual vehicle of the Russian army is not fading. Absolutely. It is being prepped, and I will explain why it is being prepped for the much larger serial production. The experience of use of the line of contact has shown that such vehicles are very important on the battlefield and can be used both in conjunction with tanks and as an independent combat unit, which is absolutely critical. Yes, there could be that. And so they talk about this, that, the company notes, along with the constant improvement of combat characteristics of the BMPT, may undergo another important change. The Terminator may change its name to more familiar Russian era. This is what Uralvagonzavod stated. Guess what? This statement was immediately interpreted by all kinds of the shyster websites in the West that, oh yeah, Terminator is done and it's crap and it's, So, and I don't know why they made this conclusion, but again, these are so-called military experts, quote-unquote, in the West. Igor Mishkov, a member of the board of directors of the concern, noted that behind the scenes in society, the question of abandoning the American name of the formidable Russian machinery. So I wish that Uralvagonzavod basically completely, discard this opinion. Nobody cares about what society thinks. The Terminator already entered into combat, performed extremely well, and should remain as such. And actually, there is no new model already being developed. And here is the issue. Remember Su-57? I will remind you, first time Su-57, which is the best fifth generation fighter by far in the world, well, actually not by far, it's the only one which really has any kind of the serious combat score. It was shown first for public in 2009. It took, today with 2015, oh, pardon me, 25. And what do we have? We have 16 years. Within the 16 years, Russians were testing, developing, even deploying it in Syria in 2018 or 2019, looking at its combat capabilities. They were doing this in a Russian way. Long, protracted testing, constant testing and redesigns and improvements until the thing is completely cooked and finished. And then you can basically introduce it to the, combat line. Guess what? The same is the case with Terminator, which is still fairly new weapon system. And Russians will continue to improve and hone it until it is like T-14 Armata is completely ready for its stated purpose, satisfied all criteria. And no, there's no problem. Russians can produce BMPT Terminator in whatever numbers serial numbers are required. And that's exactly what is happening. But of course, they like all those guys, they just grasp at the straw of the, butthurt. I want to remind you something. This is how a military design and military and tactical and operational and strategic requirements change. Remember this. Let me remind you this. This was the plane which actually stunned so many. Look at this. It is M50 Bounder. That's for some reason they call it strategic bomber. Messishev M50. It looks absolutely futuristic, and it flew for the first time in 1959. Well, guess what? It flew 19 times, and by 1961, seemingly incredible machine has been retired. We have only one prototype built. You'll say, why? Look at this plane. It looks so cool. Well, because development of the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and obviously Russians didn't have engines at that time which would provide proper required, 10,000 kilometer range for M50 Bounder. It simply couldn't reach it. As the result, it failed to meet requirements, and despite its astonishing look, was retired. Simple as that. This is how Russians do things. And this is not to say that Russians did not produce crappy weapons. They do. But that's the whole point. They are being retired. And guess what? Instead of it, we have that. Messishev M50 Bounder was retired, but guess what? This thingy, which for the first time flew in 1952, well, guess what? Still flies and will fly in 2040s, by which time it will be nearing 100 years design. And it is an outstanding aircraft, Tu-95, which is capable of carrying carrying out all necessary missions. And there you go. This is how Russians do things together, by the way, like legendary, B-52. Also, the machine you cannot kill. This is how you do things. You do things properly, and the same goes with the Terminator, for the Terminator, as well as for the rest of the proper, so to speak, weapon systems which Russians develop. And here is the issue: if you don't know, and there is literally not a serious military expert on Russia in American public space, don't write about this. But they cannot do that. They have to provide this garbage that even some cretins from yet another site which does the masturbation for the shiny military toys, they stated the changing of the name means that it's over. You know what? I don't know. This is not even the logic. It's a lack of not only any logic, lack of any rational, kernel there. How can you even say that? But they say this because they have to cover up for a strategic defeat of the West, including the United States. And now we have to wait and see what will be done practically in order to achieve whatever the deal will be there. But as I already stated many times, as was indicated, there is a talk that in the end, it's all about much larger thing which is called modus vivendi, how we have to coexist on this planet, and this is the most important one. And Ukraine is just one of the parts of the dialogue or conversation between Russia and the United States. Europe doesn't matter. So, and this is everything I needed to tell you at this Sunday. And as always, in the end, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee on 2 or 15. I'm just joking. So, have a nice rest of your weekend. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.